Good morning, everybody watching. This is Breakfast at Fiji One. I'm your host, Jonathan Kumar, and today we're about to have a fantastic interview with somebody who's about to bring some hope into what is extremely necessary in this nation.
God, I'm really grateful for who you are. God, I'm really grateful for where you are. Everything you've done. God, I'm really grateful just to have you in my life.
About who you are, just so that our audience can get a fun insight into who we're getting to know today.
Yes, of course. My name is Elena Gardiner, and known in Fiji as Elena very well. And to those who don't know me, I am a singer-songwriter. Used to do that a lot back in Fiji. Grew up in Levuka town, but originally from Nambawatu Ndriketi Madhuwata Vasu Aravundi Levuka. So, and moved to Adelaide in 2019. Got married to an Adelaidean, and I'm based in Adelaide now.
All right, perfect. Elena, we'd love to hear a little bit about your history here in Fiji. So with taking a step back into your time in Levuka, growing up in Fiji, how did your faith and how did your surroundings help shape the kind of artist that you are now?
Man, Jonathan, I owe it all to that humble beginning from Levuka. My parents were very grounded believers in the Lord and brought me up in those values and living by those principles. And that has been everything that I needed, even though we had very little materially. We had everything. We had all the love and the care and the support and, mentored and inspired by our parents. So yeah, it's everything that I needed to ground me in whatever I was going to do next in life. So yeah, really appreciative of that.
That's wonderful. And I'm sure it's a history that most of us can relate to right here in Fiji who have had a similar upbringing as you. The main thing that we're having this interview about is your new single called Grateful. Now, before we talk about that, we'd love to know what was happening in your life at the time that you wrote this song and what did you do or to hope that people feel or what you hope they hear, especially when they listen to it for the first time.
Yeah, the song is called Grateful, and I believe gratitude is a universal principle. Everyone can relate to something that they are really grateful for. I was just, in my journey, just reflecting back on how everything's played out in my life. Be it good, be it bad, be it sorrowful, be it joyful, be it hard, be it easy. And I was just very grateful. So out of that, full of gratitude, gratitude is a really good thing to have in your life when you're just, thinking of all the good things that you have had, access to. So, I've, grown up in Levuka, moved to Suva and gone through a lot of struggles as well as an artist, as any local artist could testify to, and just, moving here and having so much, being able to have a good family, a good husband, a good supportive parents, and just everything that grounds me, a great church community. I have a lot to be grateful for when I think about this. So that's where the song stemmed from, gratitude. Yeah.
What are you hoping that people can take away from it? Are you also hoping that they can feel grateful, which you have to admit is kind of difficult in these challenging times?
It is. I know we're going through so much as a nation. Crisis is intensifying, chaos, everything's, getting out of control with all the stats we're looking at, HIV, AIDS, drug crisis, you name it, and this song, Grateful, I just wanted people to really just take a step back and, instead of being overwhelmed, because it is overwhelming, right? Everything is happening around us. Just taking a step back and there are things that are within your control that you can control. There are things that are outside of your control. So the things that you can control, I just want to bring that hope back into be grateful that you have your family. Be grateful for those great good friends that influence you to do the right things and make the right decisions, and be grateful for community. So yeah, there's a lot to be grateful for in your life, and I just wanted to bring that hope back. It's right there in you, rather than looking for it outside, because there's really nothing out there.
That's a beautiful message, Elena. Now, you've been living in Adelaide for quite some time, and we'd love to hear about how being away from home has influenced your music. We have some local artists that have been here their whole lives, and the sound in their artistry is very specific to the local culture, but you have an interesting twist. You have your Adelaide experience that has added to your artistry. Can you tell us about this? How the distance has helped curate your unique sound?
Yeah, definitely. I've been in Adelaide now. I'm part of the LJ and Reckless Horns in Adelaide band. We perform here and there. A member of Upper MCOS as well, Songwriters Association. So I'm always performing here, and being part of the whole live music scene here has been very influential as well. And I've also sort of drawn into what I grew up with, which is gospel, really. We used to listen to Ron Kinolly and Cissy Winans and just all this Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. I listened to all of that. And so when I came to Adelaide and I saw the scene here, I had, got to be relevant to where you are when context changes. So my context changed to Adelaide. Here I am, digging back into the roots, but making sure I'm relevant as well in the context that I'm at. So that's where the new sound is coming from. New and old, because it's still grounded in, where I come from, my faith, really.
I love that so much because it shows that there's a versatility in your sound. We can have Fijians listening to you, we can have Australians listening to you, and both communities will absolutely love this new song. Now, the other thing that I'd like to talk about is how the music video brings the song's message to life visually. So can you walk us through the creative process behind directing this video that you've put together, and you've put it out there for anyone to watch on YouTube? If ever they get the access to it, they definitely can check it out. But can you tell us about your decision to style it visually in that manner?
Yeah, I grew up in Liverpool Town, singing to the rocks as a little girl and imagining they were crap, right? And so the visual, I made sure I was in that skyscraper in Adelaide to show those young people and young children anything is possible. You could be singing to the rocks one day out there in the beach, right there in Liverpool Town. You spend a lot of time in Aravunda village singing there. And so the visual was really to show our young, our youth and our young people to dream big, don't let your environment limit you. So that's really what the visual is. Be grateful from where you came from. And out of that gratitude, you can then see the future that's possible and the possibilities within it. So that's really where the concept of the visual came from, to be grateful for all those transitions and, dreaming that far, and then being able to just be here and shooting a music video in the skyscraper. Doesn't get better than that. For me personally, I'm very, 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 very grateful.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Elena. Now, here's an interesting difference that I'd like to bring into the conversation. The fact that you carry a lot of spiritual weight in your genre, which is gospel music. Now, because your songs are deeply rooted in your faith, how are you trying to make it accessible to people who have different walks of life from you?
Can't box, we can't put a box on it. You as an artist, you just can't box yourself like that. So like when I wrote the song Grateful, it is a universal principle. So everyone relates to something they're grateful for, whether they are in church or not, whether they're believers or not. So those are the things that just cross over automatically, and I truly recognize that because I am a part of an entertainment industry. They know We have our own faith. We respect each other's faith, but that's what brings us together. What are you grateful for? What am I grateful for? And that makes it just universal, as much as it's rooted in the core of my own spiritual values. So yeah, that's really it. We can be relevant anywhere.
Elena, it's been amazing having this conversation with you, and I love your optimism, specifically with reference to the song Grateful. But we'd love to provide you with a final opportunity to share any thoughts or a comment, maybe for those who look up to you and would one day want to end up as an artist themselves. Do you have any words of advice for your fans or anyone who could be watching today?
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think about this a lot. What is that one thing to an aspiring artist? Like, look, no one can do you better than you. You're the only artist that can do what you do. So don't compare yourself to anyone. Everyone has their own lane, right? So appreciate everything, every artist, every sound that's coming out. But just know that you have your own lane. Nobody else can walk that lane. That's for you. And so, be confident in that. Dream big. Don't compare yourself. Don't try and compete. Just be faithful and diligent in those things. And being in the music entertainment, it can get very toxic. So just have some integrity, build that integrity. Find people that have integrity so you're not easily manipulated or easily bought by things around you, that are happening right now as young people. Know who you are, be grounded in those values and be grounded in your faith. Something that is true to you, hold on to that. So yeah, just stay original, stay writing, and even when you're criticized, just stay on the path, and it will eventually pay off. It always does. So that's it. Like, I'll just leave you with one more thing. If you want to see what your future looks like, look at what the choices that you're making right now. That's what your future looks like. So yeah, go and dream big and just do the next right thing.
Elena, it's been fantastic having you here on this particular interview. Thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast at Fiji One. I'm sure everybody would love to hear the song, which we're going to play in the next segment. Again, this has been Jonathan Kumar. Thank you very much. We'll see you after the break.